Good evening, learning journey, the healing journey. Welcome, yes, to another day of learning along this journey. Lee, welcome.
Good evening, Lynn, and good evening to our Facebook and our YouTube audience. It's so good to be here tonight at the beginning of Holy Week, Lynn. He did it
Yes,
for me, and he did it for you as we move closer to Good Friday and Resurrection Sunday. It's a
yeah.
special time here for me. I just love
It,
it.
it is. It is a special time of year. This is Holy Week, and it's so important that we not look at the news, but look at what God had to deal with. And remember one important thing what Jesus had to deal with. When he rose with what? All power.
All power.
All power. So he
Hmm.
is so powerful. He's looking at all these situations and he's like, "You think I don't see this? I see everything that's happening." Everything. So we just have to leave everything in his hands. And, our special guest has not come on yet. So we're hoping that our special guest is going to be with us this evening. But, whenever you're dealing in the legal system, we don't know what may prevent him from being on with us this evening.
That's right.
But, we always like to come and educate you, motivate you, inform you, advocate and support you along the journey. And, I want to talk about something that was so important this week because you never know when you're going to run into someone or somebody. I was at a function on Saturday and I asked a question, and a lady turned around. She said, "I know that voice. Where do I know that voice from?" And she said, "Lynn." And I said, "Yes, ma'am." I didn't know her. I couldn't put the face, to anybody I knew. She is one of our faithful viewers here on the support group. And
Oh,
she came
yeah.
and she hugged me and gave me such a great embrace. And
Mm.
I embraced her and I thanked her so much for being, one of our faithful members. And, she's going through a lot. So you never know when you're going to be in the midst of someone. And she just thanked me so much. She said, "You and Lee do such a good job in supporting me." And she said, "I have learned so much from being on." So I thank her. I'm
Wonderful.
not going to mention her name because you know what? Hey, this is what we do. It's a safe platform. But,
Hmm.
I just wanted to let her know we're going to continue doing this. Where two or three are gathered, that's where Lee and I are going to be.
That's
So
right.
we just thank you also for being a part of our group every week. It is so special to have you on here with us. So we just thank you. So Lee, tonight we don't have our special guest on here with us. So you know what I was thinking, Lee? I want to talk about something that is so important. And Lee, a lot of times people get caught up in family dysfunction.
Oh.
And I wanted to, you're laughing, Lee. Do you know do you know about family dysfunction?
Girl, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem.
Exactly.
It's in
So
every household.
it's in every household, but some people try to hide it. They try to hide it. And
Well,
as we talk about generational dysfunction,
yes,
generational trauma from family to family to family. So think about what that can do to your loved one. And, that could be some of the reasons for maybe the incarceration
that's
because
right.
they can't deal with the family dysfunction
Mm-hmm.
that has been passed down from generation to generation. So I want to go over a little bit of that. Growing up in a dysfunctional family can have a significant impact on mental health, both
Mm.
short term and long term.
Yes, it.
Dysfunctional families are also characterized by poor communication, lack of emotional support, unhealthy coping mechanisms,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes abuse, whether
Mm-hmm.
emotional, physical, or verbal.
Yeah,
These conditions can affect children and family members in ways that shape their sense of self, relationship with others, and mental health later in life. So I want you to think about it. Children are so important. But sometimes we overlook that when we're engaging in combativeness with our partner, or when there's so many things that go on. Maybe it's time to break that generational family dysfunction.
Hmm.
Maybe it starts with you.
That's right.
Maybe it's time to break that. Can you think of any family dysfunction, Lee, that you might have been privy to as growing up, maybe a friend in school or anything like that?
Well, Lynn, it's all around us. It's in our own households and stuff too. The thing with it is, if you are a part of it and it's right there in your household or in your neighbor's household, you're either acting out or you're withdrawn. From what I can tell and see, it makes you one of those. It acts You act out in one of those different ways. It's either too much or it's not enough. But there's something going on, and we really need to stop and pay attention to it and do something about it before it gets to a place where you can't get back, because it will spiral into a place where you really, really don't want to be and stuff. We have so much that we do in those 8 hours of work when we at work and stuff. But there's things that are going on in your home that you have to pay attention to also, so that you can be in a better place and at peace in your home as well in the community.
Yes, exactly, exactly, exactly. And that is so important that you brought that out. Our special guest is having a little bit of a problem getting on with the link. So, it's always something with technology
Mhm.
sometimes. So, what I want to do is I want to talk until he gets on with us. And families can become dysfunctional for a range of reasons, but many dysfunctional families are a result of generations of trauma. And as Jean Ann was one of our, Jean Ann Moses, licensed mental health therapist, was talking about the trauma and the traumas that we go through and things that we go through. When dysfunctional patterns are passed down from family to family, it can be difficult to break free from that cycle and operate in a healthier manner. It can cause low self esteem and self worth. Lee, can you comment on that?
Yes, yes, I can. And I'm thinking about the little ones, because when they see the dysfunction between the parents or the extended family or so going on in the household, and a lot of times they take that into the school system and they will talk about that in the school system, which can present a problem or so also. Um, it's really, really something. And like you say, it can be passed down from generation to generation. And as parents, we look at our kids and say, well, what's wrong with him? What's wrong with her? We're giving them all this and we're giving them all that. But you're giving them something else too. You're giving them some emotional stress. You're giving them some anxiety, and
Yeah,
little ones are going out in the world with all of this that they're carrying too. And it's really not good. And so, often we look to counseling for the young folks and stuff when we see that there's a problem or so. And there are things that we can do right in the household to kind of channel that or tunnel it, to get rid of it in the household and stuff. Make more for a peaceful environment and stuff too.
exactly. Exactly. A peaceful environment is just what is needed in these times. So when we look at the low self esteem and the self worth, there's constant criticism, dysfunctional families, neglect. How about emotional withdrawal from family members? That can create feelings of unworthiness.
Hmm.
Over time, individuals may internalize these messages and develop a poor sense of self. And when you have a poor sense of self, there's low self esteem leading to anxiety, depression, and even self destructive behavior.
Yeah.
So, you think about that. And then that can prevent you from forming healthy relationships.
Mhm.
Think about the anger that you may have from some of these um, think about the anger that you may have from some of these relationships. And that's what happens. From this dysfunction, you can have that anger and difficulty forming. People raised in um, dysfunctional families have a problem sometimes with, maintaining the healthy relationships as adults. They struggle with trust, communication, and emotional intimacy. You might meet somebody and say, this person's not emotional available. Well, you don't know why they're not emotional available. And that could be one of the reasons. Have you ever thought about that?
Mm, that's so.
Because they went through that family dysfunction. Think
Mm,
about going inside and there's dysfunction in there. And that just piggybacks what they grew up with.
mm-hmm.
So, there's poor communication, and they can't get away from it anywhere they look. So that's all the more reason why it's so important to support your loved one while they're there. That is a real good reason for that. Also, this can lead to challenges in romantic relationships, friendships, and even workplace relationships. How about mental health disorders, as we said before? We're going to stop this because we now have our special guest on, and we have attorney Clyde Lemon. And attorney Lemon, we want to thank you for being a part of our support group this evening. I apologize for any issues you had, but we know the devil is a liar. We know that we're just so glad that you got on. So I just want to read a little bit of his bio so we can let folk know who they're dealing with and hearing this evening. This is the illustrious Attorney Lemon. And Attorney Lemon is originally from St. George, South Carolina. He began his career in 2021. And over the years, he's gained valuable experience in criminal defense, estate planning, probate, and guardianship. He graduated from Barry University with his Juris Doctor and the School of Law, and he has achieved remarkable milestones. One thing that I'm glad, he is licensed in Florida as well as South Carolina, and he is one of our lessons learned, our board members. So we're so blessed as we look forward to reaching out in South Carolina. You can't tell me God wasn't in this right here. That's
Right.
a gift, what we were looking for. So Mr. Lemon focuses his practice on criminal defense, estate planning, guardianship, probate. He is an active and respected member of the legal community. He holds memberships in various bar associations, and he's affiliated. His affiliations reflect his dedication to professional growth, mentorship, and community engagement. He always seeks to expand his knowledge in the legal field. And in these days, Lord knows you need to always be up on what's going up and what's
Absolutely.
going around. Beyond his legal practice, Mr. Lemon, Attorney Lemon, leads an active lifestyle. He enjoys photography, swimming, basketball, and weightlifting, pursuits that help him maintain discipline, focus, and balance in his life. He's a strong advocate in criminal defense. So we are so glad to have you on here and glad to have you as our attorney and our board member. And we thought this evening, we would like to educate people because with our support group, we educate, we advocate, we inform, we support, and motivate. What to do when you don't know what to do. So your loved one has just been arrested. You don't know what to do. What can you advise the loved one to do? And welcome, Mr. Lemon.
Anything?
Now you're on. Now you're on.
Yeah,
Yes, we
okay.
got you
All
now.
right.
Yes.
Well, first and foremost, thank you all for the invitation for this evening. I'm glad to be here and able to speak with you all. So one of the things that I always tell people is number one, just if you get arrested, just be quiet.
That's
Cops will do any and everything to make themselves seem like the good guys, which they are. There are plenty of good cops. I don't want to put that misnomer out there in the world that cops are evil, because they're not. Trust me, if something happens and somebody breaks down my door, I am calling police. So So I understand that. So I don't want to put that misnomer out there. But, when you get arrested and you get stopped, police are going to ask you a few questions. And I always tell people, just exercise your rights to be quiet.
Mhm.
Once you say that, hey, I'm exercising my right to remain silent, they will still will try to get you to say something, but be quiet,
Yes.
because any and everything that you say to them can be used against you.
Yes.
Against you.
And a lot of officers would try to do a lot of mind games and say, oh, well, we're just trying to figure out the scenario, we're just trying to figure something out. The entire time while they're trying to figure it out, they're putting the story together so they can essentially have what they need for their report. So the best bet is to just, I'm exercising my right to remain silent, and leave it at that.
Very good. Thank you so much. Traffic stops are another thing, you
Absolutely.
know, and you mentioned don't talk. How about signing anything? Is it just sign this, and should they be signing anything?
No, do not talk and do not sign anything. In fact, if you just have an urge to say something, say that I want to speak to my attorney.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
You
And
just
I
have
hope
to
you
say
all are.
something.
Yeah. I hope you all are listening to this because, as your young folks are going for spring break, as your young folks are going to college, you might have a husband who's a truck driver, anything like that, or a loved one who's a truck driver. These are the things that you should know and drill into them. And this is going to help them. So how about a search? How about if you're pulled over on 85, 75, or 95 and they say they want to search your vehicle?
Yeah, do not consent to the search.
Do not consent to do they need to have a search warrant first?
Well, so that depends.
Oh,
So that's why I said just do not consent to the search.
okay.
So if there is a search warrant, then that's different. Okay. But if there is no search warrant, do not consent to the search.
Okay.
Do not do
Gotcha.
that.
Okay. So don't talk, don't sign, don't consent to a search.
No.
Is there anything else that is of utter importance? Don't sign, don't talk, don't consent to a search, and don't get caught up in any deals that they make because you're not going to be talking. So you can't.
And this is something I tell some of my clients, and as well as when I go to different speaking engagements, and I know this is very hard depending on the circumstance, but try to remain calm.
Mm,
Try your hardest to remain calm. Unfortunately, and I'm just going to be brutally honest here, we don't have the luxury of getting irate, because once we get irate, we may not go home.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is we may not be seen again.
that's right.
Yeah.
Some of our counterparts have that luxury. Unfortunately, we don't. And I'm just going to be brutally honest about that. And so while it is something that is unfair in society, it's a reality in society. And so particularly for the young black male. So I always tell, particularly when I'm speaking to high school students, and college age students, try to remain as calm as possible, because the more and more you get worked up, guess who else is going to get worked up? That officer. And guess
Mm-hmm.
what? He or she has a firearm.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Mm-hmm.
results for us are not being detained. Normally, the results for us are getting shot.
Yes.
And
That
again,
is so true.
it's a sad reality, but it's reality nonetheless. And
Hmm.
I
Yes.
usually tell my high school or college students that I speak to, request your lawyer. Let your lawyer do that fight.
Mm-hmm.
You don't do that fight out there in the field, because it may not turn out well for you.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I have a question here. Rosanna says, can you ask to see the warrant?
Yes, you can. Particularly if if an officer comes to your door and they saying they have a warrant, show it to me. Other than that, if they can't show it to you, you can refuse for them to entry.
Okay. Gotcha. 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 This is such good information that I hope that people are really, taking this because this is just good information for everyone to really listen to what is happening out there. And, accept the reality of what has happened and get
Mhm.
in touch with a lawyer. This is what OLL does. This is what we do. We connect you with our preferred attorneys. Okay? We connect you. We connect you. We let you know what you need to do so you're not out there by yourself. This is the importance of what our organization does, because Lee and I, we were left, we didn't know what to do.
That's
So
right.
now this is not, you're not blind to this. You connect with us and we will connect you. Bail bondsman. And the bail bondsman, I was reading something the other day, Attorney Lemon,
Yes.
where there are so many people stuck in the system due to not having money for bail.
Yes, that does happen. Um, so essentially, what the bail bondsman does is that, they basically you're putting up some level of collateral in order to get released from jail.
Yes.
Now, they are supposed to stay in contact with you as well to make sure that the court appearances that you need to make them. However, when you don't make court and you do get arrested, yeah, now you've basically they're not going to do anything for you, because now they can't trust you to make the court appearances they need you to
That's
make.
right.
And
Mhm.
so now you basically losing out on the money that you put up, and they are not going to help you out anymore.
Yes.
So it's
That,
always important, and I tell clients all the time, yes, the bail bondsman is going to remind you, but you're an adult too.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
You are an adult, and you know you have a case, and you know
mm-hmm,
you have court.
mm-hmm,
If
mm-hmm.
you have an attorney, stay in touch with your attorney and make sure the attorney tells you, no, you don't have to be there that day.
Yes.
I've
Yes.
I've had situations where people have called me, or times when I've gone to visit the jail, and individuals will say, "Hey, sir, I have not had any contact with my attorney, or I'm in here because my attorney told me I didn't have to come to court, but I did have to be to court that day." So it's good to always, again, but then you find out later on, well, that was one particular court date, but the next particular court date you did have to be there, and you never returned your attorney's phone call.
Mm.
So again, it's always important to stay in touch with your attorney, stay in touch with your bail bondsman, and also realize, and you can check your court dates too. If you're uncertain whether you have to be there or not, guess what the best option is? Go.
Yeah.
Go to
Yes.
court. If you're not certain whether you have to be there or not,
Show
and you
up.
look on that clerk of court and you see that you got a court date, oh, there's no wondering whether I don't think I need to. If you don't know, go.
I
You
like it. I like it. I
need to
like it.
go.
Just show up. Just show
Just
up
show
there.
up.
There
Trust
Okay.
and believe. You would not get in more trouble for coming to court. You won't get in
Yes.
trouble for that.
Yes. Gotcha. 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 You know, as loved ones, when it happens, you're traumatized. You're going through so much because it's dollar bills, it's dollar signs, it's
Yes.
everything. And
Yes.
you can't think properly. That's what this agency, this organization is all about. We walk you through that process because you know what? We've been there. We know. We have an attorney right here. And there's one other thing I'd like for you to mention.
Yes.
And Attorney Gurley was on, and we love him. And he
Oh
talked
yes.
about Miranda rights.
Yes.
And people don't even know what Miranda rights are. And that's what gives them and gets them in trouble because they start talking and give up those rights.
Yes.
Can you just
And
touch briefly?
yes, and that's essentially what, when I say be quiet and say I access my right to remain silent, that's what that is. That's
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm,
essentially what that is. You are exercising your rights, okay? Because now, when a police officer makes an arrest on you, if they are not providing you with those Miranda rights, because they're supposed to give you those Miranda rights, tell you you have the right to remain silent, you have the right to request an attorney, anything you say will be used, can or possibly be used against you. Those are your basic statements that police have to say, which are considered the Miranda rights.
okay.
Exercise that right by remaining silent and requesting an attorney. That
Okay.
is, you will save yourself tons of headache if you just do those basic things. I cannot
Yeah.
express that enough. People get in trouble so much because they think they are getting themselves out of the situation by trying to explain more and more and more, and you're digging yourself a deeper hole.
Right.
There's another question I have. Say, for instance, you're pulled over
Hmm.
and they want license and registration. Okay.
Yes. Hmm.
Is it permissible to ask, well, sir, why am I being pulled over?
Yes,
And
you can
they don't
definitely
want to
ask that.
answer you.
Yes.
And then they say you're coming at them, but you're just saying, sir, I just need to know why I'm being stopped.
So this is what I was getting at when I said about our situations. You got to know when to remain calm about the situation.
Okay.
Yes, you absolutely have the right to ask, what am I being pulled over for? You still need to give that license and registration, but you can still ask, why am I being pulled over for? Okay. That doesn't mean he didn't answer you. Now let me get out the car and ask and demand it. Now you're escalating the situation more than what needs to be done. Okay.
Okay.
Again, while I understand that sometimes others may have an advantage over us and can do certain things, unfortunately, I always tell people stay calm
Mhm.
because our end results are not the same as some of their end results.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yes.
That's
That is so true. I just thank you because you know what? It's short and to the point. Don't talk, don't sign, don't make a deal. Keep your mouth shut. My mom used to
mhm.
tell me all the time as a child, keep your big mouth shut.
Absolutely.
And these are the things we need to get out there and
Absolutely.
exercise. Keep your mouth shut.
Mhm.
Get your
Absolutely.
attorney. This is what
Absolutely.
you went to school for. This is what you fight for. This is why you would fighter law. And I
Absolutely.
like that. This is
Absolutely.
so important. And we have so many people on this support group that are from South Carolina
Really?
that
Okay.
support
Very
us.
nice.
Yeah, so you got a following already on here. So to my South Carolina people, if you're on here, you already got a criminal attorney right here, attorney Clyde Lemon, who can help you, who can help you with the questions that you need. We have preferred attorneys. We have attorney Gurley and we have attorney Lemon. So you want to make sure you're talking to a preferred attorney, someone
Absolutely.
who we can attest that yes, they're good. You can trust them because there's a whole lot of people out here today in all kind of different businesses that you may not be able to trust. So we want to make sure that we give you a preferred attorney.
Absolutely.
So that is good. Lee, did you have any questions for Attorney Lemon?
Well, we also have, I just want to mention that we also have Attorney Jim Morton out of
Oh
South
yeah,
Carolina, also, as well as now our preferred attorney, Clyde Morton.
yes,
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. Um, he don't talk. Oh, so important because most of the times, if they are stopping you, it's not because they just saw you come out of church in a suit. There has to be some type of reason. So the best thing for you, as Attorney Lemon said, don't talk and let them know that you want to speak with your attorney before you give yourself up to any and everything. Just
Absolutely.
start right there. Don't talk. Hello, officer. Um, XYZ, but don't talk and don't give yourself up. It's so important. We just have to say that over and over and over
Correct.
because more than likely somebody's going to forget it. And when they are stopped, they're going to start talking.
Yep.
So do not talk. Those do and those don'ts are on our website under our lesson learned,
yes,
or it's right there as well as the information. We'll have that up for you also to reach Attorney Lemon if you need him.
yes,
He will be on there on our preferred attorneys. I did have one question. I think you had a comment from someone that asked about the warrant. And we live in a world that you just don't know who's approaching you and stuff with that
Correct.
warrant. Is it okay to, in addition to ask to see the warrant, to ask for identification from that officer?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They should actually provide that as soon as they come to your doorstep. So
They
absolutely.
should,
Yeah.
yes,
yeah,
because you just don't know who's false and who's real. So we
Correct.
need to make sure that this is a real person, a real officer asking
Correct.
yeah.
for to that's coming with that search warrant and stuff. Something that we can kind of verify or so because most of the time, any of these situations, you're going to be in a panic.
Correct. And that's why I mentioned try to stay calm as much as possible, even though the circumstances are intense. Try to stay calm as much as possible because our 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 interaction causes a different type of reaction from them.
Hmm. You're so right. You're so right, Attorney Lemon. And it's unfair, but it is the way of the world, and we got
It's
to roll
reality.
with it. We got
It's
to roll with
reality. It's
it.
unfair, but it's reality.
Yes, it's reality. So we have to roll with that. I just thank you so much for being on, just those 4 Ds. Don't talk, don't sign. You got to remember this, drill this into your loved one's
Mhm.
head and drill it into your head. Because
Absolutely.
you know what? If you're a woman, female, male, you never ever know. Because I
Correct.
know I drive very fast when I'm going to South Carolina, so I
Yeah,
can be pulled over.
yes, you
So
do.
I have to remember that I'm gonna put Attorney Lemon on speed dial, okay? So I just thank you so much for being there. We're gonna have you on again as
Okay.
questions are posed to us weekly, bi-weekly. So many people have different questions because their loved ones might be in a different area of the country incarcerated.
Okay.
And that is also an issue for some people. As we always say, Florida
Absolutely.
law is different from South Carolina.
Mhm.
South
Correct.
Carolina is different from North Carolina.
Correct.
Please check the rules and laws in
And
your state because
Correct.
they do vary very much.
yes, they do.
Absolutely.
Yes. So,
Absolutely.
Attorney Lemon, thank you so much for your time and diligence. And thank you for what you do to fight for our peace, our justice, and everything. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much, and thank you all for what you all do as well for
Oh,
organizing this. It needs to be put out here in our community. So thank you all for spearheading this initiative.
Thank you.
thank you so much.
All right.
Everybody, we will see you in 2 weeks and we
Good.
thank you. Remember the 4 Ds. If you can't remember, go to the website. Have a great evening. Thank you, everybody.
Have a great evening, everyone.